I thought our guys did a good job this week, especially handling a 5-game week and late in the season again. I thought the pitching staff did a great job, Guillory and Nick Lee, and being able to take those 2 starts for us. Both those games were important for us. Handling the bullpen throughout the whole week, a lot of guys did a great job because we did a lot of leaning on our arms in a 5-game week, especially late in the year like that. So where innings start to take a toll on their bodies. Our hitters, I thought, did a good job, throughout the week. Defensively, we've been good all year, especially in Sunday's game and turning some critical double plays that we really needed. Texas State had a good hitting ball club. Gunner had a very rare hiccup. He's human. One good thing is the hitters were able to pick him up. Gunners picked up us many a nights. So our hitters did a good job of picking him back up. And then from there, our bullpen let the game get away on Saturday. But then Sunday, the bullpen came back and answered the bell. So I thought we had a good week. We almost ended up in a 5-0 week. We just let one game get away from us. But to handle that late in the year is really good. It really helped us continue to create some momentum because we're going to need that. Now we've off today. We'll work out tomorrow and take off Wednesday, play Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then off Sunday, and then head down to the conference tournament from there. So hopefully we can continue to build on momentum, continue to try to work on all 3 facets and get them as good as we can, heading into that tournament. So I know Mike's not here, but I want to congratulate him and his team and getting a regional. There's no greater honor when you see your name come up on that TV, especially the university's name to come up on that TV. So I'm proud of them, and hopefully they get in there and do some damage. I think they know how to get through Baton Rouge. They've done it many a times before. Something that we got to learn how to do. So good luck to them and their team, and I open up the floor for questions you might have.
Do you dangle at all the carrot of got to take care of business and sweep this series to improve the at-large chances if you don't win it all next week?
Well, there's really no carrot. Our goal is we talked last week, we want to win out. But to do that, you can't have a sweep if you drop game 1. So you've got to go game by game. We just got to stay going pitch by pitch and stay going by the 3 facets of the game. The pitchers pitching the best they can down the stretch, defense playing as good as they can down the stretch, and then our hitting collectively be as good as they can down the stretch and go game by game. You can't look at really your opponent as much as you. I've always said that. I live by that. We got to worry about us. And every pitch is important now. We've put ourselves in this position, so we the ones that have to get it done. So we want to win out. I mean, that's what we want to do, but we don't take our opponent lightly. We don't assume anything. We have to stay doing the 3 things that we're capable of doing: being able to pitch, being able to keep the score down. We've got to keep the score down. That's the number one thing we've got to do. And then collectively, hopefully, we can get some guys hot together in a lineup, maybe, and then make a run. But it's going to have to go pitch by pitch, game by game, being as good as we can be.
How much more complicated, though, is the battle against yourself when you have that pressure of got to win, we got to improve our stock, we got to make our argument as good as possible?
Well, the thing about the battle over yourself, you would have to handle it no matter which way you go. It always, I've always said this, it's never good or bad. It's how you look at it. We have to keep looking at this as an opportunity versus pressure. If you can look at it as an opportunity to take what you have left and do something with it, everybody's going through what you're going through. They're going to be going through something. everybody goes through something. I mean, if you look at, they put in Derek Jeter yesterday, and they did an interview with him leading up to it early in the week, and at one point in time he thought about quitting, and he's in the minor leagues. I think everybody has to deal with something, and it's having the ability to handle it. So we hope that we can, learn from not being as good throughout the year in certain instances, and be able to draw back off of that, and then try to be better with what we have left. So that's, this time of the year becomes, everybody fights it. Every team is fighting something. Some are barely hanging on. Some are some are even saying, maybe I've had enough. I mean, this is where you have to kick it in, because your shoes aren't new anymore. We talk about this all the time. Your bat, your lizard skin grip, it's not new anymore. It's all that's faded. And so now what's left is, the will of the dog. And so that's the whole key to this. If you look at when they race, Diderot race, they both have 16 dogs. I mean, not one of them has an extra dog. They got only one person on the sled. All those dogs have been trained, fed alike, trained alike. How does one year, one of the people won it by, like, I think it was 4 seconds. And that thing's over a long period of time, comes down to 4 seconds. And the difference was, the nose of one dog. I mean, and so it came down to the will of one dog. And so, they're going to have 27 players. We're going to have 27 players. I mean, the difference, I think, is going to be the will of the dog. So that's what you have to hopefully rely on, that your guys aren't ready to go home yet or head out to play summer ball and none of that stuff. Because, again, this is no different from any other year. Every year starts out new and fun, and then the grind either wears you down or it builds you up. So hopefully we can take, the grinding throughout the season and use it to our benefit over these last couple weeks.
Coach, these last 10 days that started with the Georgia Southern series, you haven't had a bunch of 10-3 or 11-4 games. You've had a bunch of tight games. Has there been some hidden benefit for some of the less experienced guys, just having them kind of consistently be under stressful situations from start to finish in a bunch of games?
I think so. I've always said this, that the score is going to come down at the end of the season. I think the pitching gets better at the end. I'm talking about regional, super regional. So a lot of times the scores come down. If you've been used to playing in close scoring games, which we have, I think Jeff told me the other day we had, 23 games decided by 1 run or 2 runs or less. Yeah. I agree with that theory. People that have been used to playing in big scoring games sometimes can get spooked when they get in close games. I think we played in so many close games that we're used to playing close games. So yeah, I think that can help us.
Can you talk about the year Steven Sensley's had?
Well, I think what when you gifted like he is, when you've got a lot of power on the front end of your career, it's just like training a pitcher that's got high velocity early in his career. They don't worry about the pitchability. They worry about the radar gun. Hitters have a tendency to worry about the home run versus being a good hitter. At the junior college level, he hit 23 home runs. But then once he got into a tougher pitching situation at the Division I level, last year he went through his tough year. Even the start of this year was tough on him. I think what he's starting to do is he's starting to learn his craft more on being a professional hitter with power. And I've said this before in front of you, there's 2 different types of hitters. There's a power hitter who doesn't scare me. But then when you've got a good hitter with power, I don't really want to pitch to that guy with the game on the line. I'd rather pitch to the power hitter that's not disciplined, that's a spinner, because he's got holes in his swing. What he's doing is he's changing his approach. He's becoming more professional as a hitter. And now he's starting to become a good hitter with power. That's dangerous, really dangerous. And I think that's why he's been so good over the last 3.5 weeks, is his ability to buy into approach, and an approach that lets him use the whole field, as compared to the right field foul line. And I think that's what's making him have this run right here, is he's starting to become a professional hitter.
What about his defense?
His defense is getting better too. You know, I think he's starting to see, you know, a lot of times power hitters that are born with power like that, they don't care about their defense. They think they're going to ride one tool to the top, and that's not the case. You have to make sure that you can teach them that they're going to have to not only be a professional hitter, go the other way, be able to use the middle of the field, but also be able to play good defense. There's not much room at the big league level for DHs. I mean, you have to be able to play a position if you want to move up the ladder. And so his defense has gotten better. He's gotten committed to it. And I think he's being committed to being a total ball player, not just a guy that worries just about hitting. When you can put a show on like him in batting practice, you have a tendency to worry just about that. I just want to take BP and put a show on. But the difference maker is the Major League Baseball and the scouts already know he has power. What they're wanting to see is, what about the other side? But a lot of times kids don't worry about that because they're so good in one area. They think that one area is going to cover them up, and it's not gonna. So I just, I appreciate his approach, committed to being a professional hitter. That's what's going to get him up in the draft. That's what's going to keep him into pro ball. There's a lot of guys in pro ball that can throw hard, but they can't pitch. There's a lot of guys in the minor leagues that have power, but they can't hit. So with him getting better as a professional hitter, better defensively, because he's got a good arm, he runs good for a big guy, but he has to stay committed to that side of his game, and I think he's doing that now. He's getting off of just a home run and the power to become a professional hitter that can play good defense.
Coach, you talked about the glamour of having high velocity, and maybe that translates well for starters or a closer, but those guys in the middle innings, the middle relief, kind of getting to your closer. Can you talk about what you've gotten recently from kind of those middle relief guys and the importance of those middle innings?
Well, middle relief is really important. A lot of times the big leagues calls that setup. Somebody sets up the closer. When starters go 6 on you, that's decision time, because your closer, if you really want him for 3 outs, that's the 9th, you have 2 innings to deal with. And those 2 innings are dangerous, because if you've got a good starter like Gunnar, it's actually a breath of fresh air to the other team's hitters. They've got 6 outs now with somebody that might not be like the starter. This is where Wyatt's been so valuable this year. Nick Lee this weekend, Sunday, being able to eat up those 2 innings. Jevin Huval on Friday night, being able to eat up an inning or 2. Those guys are invaluable because they can get you to the closer and try to trim some outs on the closer. But that's a dangerous area, because in college you can only have 27 guys on scholarship, and you got to carry, everybody's going to carry almost 15 arms, but you're not going to pitch 15 deep. You have 15 arms, but you're not going to pitch 15 deep. You wish you could, but that's impossible. So what happens is, if you get a real good 1 or 2 guys that can eat up 2 innings in a game, you have a tendency to start taking those guys and pitching them more. So when you can get somebody to unselfishly do that, like Nick Lee, You know, that's been the greatest thing about handling this pitching staff is they're so unselfish. I mean, that's why they're good. I mean, that's the whole key to this game, you know. Happiness begins when selfishness ends. And the biggest problem with our game is selfishness. And the greatest thing about this pitching staff is they're so unselfish. I mean, we went to Wyatt at the start of the year, who was a starter, and said, we're going to move you to the bullpen. He said, no problem. I'll do whatever I need to do to help this team win. We go to Guillory and tell Guillory, you know, we're going to maybe move you here, you know, no problem. I'll do whatever the team needs for us to win. You ask Demo, you know, how do you feel tonight? We might have to bring you in earlier than normal. He says it doesn't matter. I mean, he came up to me the other day and said, Coach, I'll throw in the middle of the games. If the game's on the line, I'll do whatever I need to help us win. You know, and Nick Lee, when I went to him when he was struggling, said, we got to sit you down and move Schmitty up. He said, no problem. You know, I haven't been pitching well. I'll do whatever I need. I'll come out of the bullpen and help the team win. And, you know, he comes out Sunday and eats up 2 critical innings for us because Wyatt, having thrown 47 pitches or 37 pitches on Friday, we knew we could only use him for 1 inning. So we had to have somebody take the 7th and the 8th, and that's where Nick Lee came in. So that's why I think that pitching staff is so good. Any of them will throw whenever and give you their best. You know, instead of Nick Poughton, because he got pulled out of the weekend rotation, he draws the game on Wednesday and starts for us. That's a big win for us on Wednesday in a 5-game week. Then comes back on only 3 days rest and eats up the 7th and the 8th for us to be able to win on Sunday. So the pitching staff has been very unselfish, and I think that's why they're at the top of the conference in so many statistics. We haven't decided that yet. We'll look at it. I mean, you know, we know Gunner's going out Friday, and Thursday. I'm sorry. Thanks. And from there, we'll look at it. He threw a flat ground yesterday and felt good. So I don't think this weekend potentially, but what we're shooting for is to get him into the conference tournament with us. He's been on some anti-inflammatories, and I think those are starting to kick in.
Did the MRI show on the ligament for can he
Torn.
that cast, can he run or?
Yeah, I think what they're going to do this week, if I'm not mistaken, is to, I think, take it back off, make sure that some of it's starting to heal. And I think if that's the case, then I think they're going to fix it to where maybe he can run for us, potentially. He might have to put that, I don't know if you've ever seen them, they put that mitten on that they slide with. So he'll probably have to put that on the slide. But that's what I think they're going to be doing this week. As long as he has the big cast on, no, he can't run. Yeah.
Any more questions?
Again, Mike, I congratulated you and the team, so I'm going to do it in front of you. Congratulations and good luck in Baton Rouge. I know you know how to get through there.